welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. I'm Dina Osman and standing in for the usual host, Tagreed Hassim. This evening we'll be debating the Egyptian foreign policy. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi started 2015 with quite an extensive foreign relations movement, so to speak. He headed off this year with a visit to Kuwait. He's expected to visit the United Arab Emirates, which with Egypt enjoys quite a strategic relationship. This coming Sunday, a visit to Bahrain is also expected, and the president will wrap up the month of January by attending the 24th African Union Summit. This evening, with a distinguished gentleman, we'll be discussing the Egyptian foreign policy, what is needed in 2015, in a few moments right after this, so please stay with us.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi leads 2015 with a busy international relations agenda. After completing an official visit to Kuwait a few days ago, the president is scheduled to visit the UAE, Bahrain, and Ethiopia later this month. On Sunday, the president heads to the UAE on a two-day official visit, the first since taking office, to highlight bilateral relations on all levels. In the United Arab Emirates, a visit to mark Egypt's appreciation and gratitude for that country's support after the 30th of June uprising, el-Sisi is set to take part in the upcoming World Future Energy Summit, the WFES. In October 2013, the UAE had approved $4.9 billion in aid to Egypt, including a $1 billion grant and a $1 billion petroleum grant. In addition, that country granted $3 billion in financial and non-financial aid. This comes as the largest Arab direct funding process after the 30th of June uprising, with the Gulf ally payment of $8 to $9 billion. Meanwhile, the UAE participated in a number of developmental projects in major economic sectors in Egypt, including the construction of grain silos so as to take part in achieving food security in Egypt, as well as constructing more than 50,000 housing units in 18 governorates and 100 schools, with a commitment for another 1 million units in negotiations. In other visits later in the month, President el-Sisi will attend the 24th African Summit scheduled for January 29th to 31st in Addis Ababa, according to presidential spokesman Ambassador Ala Youssef. The session of this summit comes under the theme, the Year of Women's Empowerment and Development Towards Africa's Agenda 2036. El-Sisi had attended the 23rd session of the African Union Summit meetings in Equatorial Guinea in June after it reinstated Egypt's membership due to a temporary ban from the group following the ouster of former Brotherhood President Mohamed by the Egyptian people. That was on July 3rd, 2013, in mass protest that called for the end of that regime. El-Sisi also met with several African leaders of the United Nations General Assembly in September to discuss an era of partnership and underscored Egyptian-African relations since his inauguration in June, as the country had been absent from that continent during the rule of former President Hosni Mubarak. In a related event, President el-Sisi had told the Patriarch of the visiting Ethiopian Orthodox Church, Pope Matthias I, that the Nile is a source of life for Egypt, not just a source of development, stressing the importance of taking practical measures to transform political agreements into a legal framework that protects the rights and interests of both countries and consolidates cooperation. He added that Egypt will not deny Ethiopians the right to develop their country.
Welcome back. With us in the studio, His Excellency Minister Mohamed Kamel, former Minister for Foreign Affairs. A pleasure to have you. Thank you. Your Excellency, President Sisi started the year, 4 visits so far, at least to our knowledge. Maybe something else might come up. 4 visits just in 1 month.
preceded actually by other visits also to Russia, to China.
I understand, but I'm just talking about
a span of 1 month.
Yes, yes.
Actually, I think it is we were very important visits actually when it comes to foreign policy issues. First, we are talking about our direct neighborhood, our region, the Arab countries, which have been always at the top of our agenda. We're going to, as you mentioned, to more than one Arab country, but 3 Arab countries.
He visited Kuwait, which is a few days ago,
yes,
and he's going to the United Arab Emirates on Sunday.
The Emirates on Sunday.
For 2 days, and then there is Bahrain as well.
And there is Bahrain. These are very important visits actually. Just discussing, there are many issues now that concern the Arab world, and there is a need for coordination, definitely. At a regional level, there are many international issues actually that we need to deal with. And the more we discuss together as Arab countries, the more we can face these issues as a united front, which is very important actually. Then there is a very important visit also to attend the African Union Summit, which is I think one of the more important visits during this month, because it's a twofold visit actually. It's a visit to the summit, which will give him a chance to meet with a very wide spectrum of African leaders, and it's also a bilateral visit to Ethiopia, which again is very important. In your introduction, you referred to the visit of the Ethiopian Patriarch here, when he came here and visited the President and to our dignitaries. I mean, the importance of the relations with Ethiopia needs no more, we see, explanation. But I believe they are very important visits. I look at these visits actually in the context of rebalancing the Egyptian foreign relations.
Okay.
Our strength when it came to foreign policy, and our strength in the international arena has always came from our balanced relations. We've been always, you see, in good relations with many, you see, parts of the world. Historically, if you go back to the 50s and 60s, there was an land movement, there was, you see, the Muslim countries, the Arab, of course, Arab region, which is at the other note of our interests. So always Egypt has been very active in the international arena. When you confine yourself to relations with, you see, a specific group or certain countries at the expense of other countries, you see, you don't have such clout, you don't have such strength as if you have, you see, this wide relations with a wide swatch of countries. And I think this is what President Sisi is doing, and I think this is a very wise thing to do.
Let us go into the word you said, rebalancing our relations. Can you just elaborate more? What do you mean by rebalancing? Because is this like reshifting, repositioning? I mean, what is the word rebalance?
Yes, rebalancing.
In diplomacy.
Exactly, and I'm saying that actually I mean it.
That's what I'm saying.
Rebalancing, because as I said, historically, and I mean historically, I'm not talking about 100 years ago, but 56 years ago, Egypt was very active actually on the international arena. There is a saying, the British say that someone is punching above his weight, you see. And Egypt has been always diplomatically punching above its weight because of its coalitions, because of its friendships with other countries. When we move, others move with us. I remember when I was at the United Nations in the early 80s, everybody was looking at Egypt, how Egypt was going to vote on a certain issue, because they knew that when we vote, many other countries will vote with us because we coordinate. You see, during the last decade, maybe this hasn't been the case, because we moved very closely to certain segment of the international community and to a certain, you see, power at the expense of others. Yes, the Egyptian diplomacy has been always very active, but it is not only a matter of having embassies, it's not only a matter of having your foreign minister visiting, it's also at the highest level, at the head of state level, especially when it comes to relations with Africa. In Africa, relations come from above. You see, meetings should be with heads of states and amongst heads of state.
Yes.
And I think this is the current, you